Good evening and welcome along to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. I'll be your host tonight. We're doing a wee bit different. There's no native football on with the winter break, and thank God we're doing something different because there's no transfer stories either to talk about. So we're just going to do a sort of go back to the wee spin-off series and stuff and do a wee sort of an idea I seen on Twitter once. I can't claim it as mine, and it's a what ifs 11. I'll kind of get into the in 2 seconds. I just want to do the Super Six. I really should have had this up and running, but just before, I'm loading that. How are you and Stephen doing, Anthony?
Yeah, I'm all good. Work's a killer at times, but other than that, enjoying life in the new year.
Yeah, I mean, a new year, same old fucking days, isn't it? Really, it's nothing. Yeah. New year, new me. I had a good weekend with the kids. I still haven't got my car back, which I'm absolutely fucking raging about. Peugeot need to up the game on that one. You wanted the Super Six done, Fran. I've got the table here.
All right, I'm just loading my phone.
So take away that comment. Alistair Jack is first, Kieran second, Stephen Coulthard third, Mark Robertson fourth, Anthony Dunn fifth, Joe Finley sixth, Kevin Hamsley seventh, Brian Taylor eighth, and William Dobbin is up one of our very own in ninth place. So that's the updated table in terms of that. But in regards to the weekend, it was a good weekend. I mean, had a good time. Looking forward to getting stuck in tonight and having a wee chat about players who might still be there and players who featured for Celtic in the past.
So the whole concept of the show, it's a Celtic what ifs 11. We're going to kind of come up with our own wee like 11 ourselves. With I kind of just to try and make it a wee bit easier. Went with a 4-3-3 or the 4-2-3-1, which very similar formations, just to try and keep it. And it's just taking ourselves to a parallel universe where we can pick current or ex-Celtic players that played with Celtic. We can pick them in their prime. So age, we're taking age right out of the equation and stuff. As long as the player was registered, didn't even need to kick a ball for Celtic, as long as they were registered at some point as a player and currently still are a player, because if we're not wanting to make it essentially a greatest 11. So it's the what ifs, as we say. It's just what could have been in some parallel universe. So we'll just we'll get straight into it and stuff, Stephen. We'll start with yourself with the goalkeeping position. Who have you plumped for it? Current? I mean, assuming you've not went for Joe Hart the way you're going with him. So I doubt we're going for a current player in this one. So who's your number one?
I mean, Joe Hart was the furthest down the list, to be fair. But look, you go through the keepers throughout the years, and I know Anthony, who's in the comments, he put David Marshall on his, and obviously Marshall's still playing, so that's one of the rules. That's a good one. I mean, he was all right for us in the short spell he was there until Arthur Bhoys came in and took his position. I mean, it wasn't really a difficult one. The goalkeeper who's probably been the best in my supporting life watching Celtic, and that obviously the caveat, one of the rules, Franny, that they had to be still playing, it was Fraser Forster. I don't think you could look by him. I think that when you have Lionel Messi describe you as the Great Wall, and the Spanish press saying the exact same thing, it's a compliment, and was seemingly done for us not so recently in the League Cup final. He kept us in it. We won that game 1-0, much thanks to him producing the world-class goalkeeping performance. And it's one of them ones. It's obviously the what ifs, and you think, what if he stayed? Do you know what I mean? You have that presence at the back, commanding. He's tall, a great shot stopper. Obviously suspect with his feet, but he's a far better goalkeeper in every department than Joe Hart is currently. And even back then, I always thought the Forster should have got a better chance in the England squad. I always thought he was overlooked because of where he played. I thought he was dealt a bad hand. I know he got his debut once and he conceded 2 goals, and English press were all over him, and he didn't really get a look in after that. Again, likes of Ben Foster were still getting in. Jordan Pickford, who I don't rate at all, gets in, and that's obviously down to the fact that Fraser Forster doesn't get much game time at the moment. But it also, he was sublime, and he had the chance to come back, and he chose to stay in England. And look, that's his own choice. But as I said, for me, there was only one player in that position, and that's Big Fraser.
I mean, that's I went for as well, Stephen. He was my number one. I think Arthur Bhoys in my lifetime is probably the best goalkeeper, but as I say, the rules was he had to currently still be playing with in some capacity. No, I wouldn't pick Hart, unfortunately. No, I think when you consider
you picked Barkas.
You could have picked Barkas. I'm with you, Stephen. Like Joe Hart, many years ago was a top goalkeeper, but I just think Fraser Forster was way better. It's just you've got that game against Barcelona. You'll always have that League Cup where I know Julian scores a goal, but Fraser Forster was absolutely dynamite in that game. Saves a penalty and everything. So I pumped for Fraser Forster as well. I don't know where you are, Anthony, in your number one.
I feel like I'm just parroting what you guys have both said because it's true. If you take out the fact that Arthur Borch, I think is the debatable who's better between the two, Forster and Borch, and it's a good debate to have. But considering he's not playing, it has to be Fraser Forster all day long. I did contemplate Craig Gordon at one point, and I remembered he's fucking shit. So he gets harsh. Well, we need to save a penalty every so often, you know. No, it's Fraser Forster hands down all day long. He definitely was dealt a hard hand not getting into the England squad. And I think when he did get that game, as Stephen says, it's kind of like Alan Thompson when he got his game in England was a friendly he got one time. And
Sweet.
It was like a beehang or something.
Something like that, but they were just waiting for him to fuck up so they could pounce on him and say, see, that's why we don't want you. You play in Scotland, you must be shite. And it just felt like he was never due any good respect, but he's an absolute quality goalkeeper, and I would happily take him back any day of the week.
Wasn't his debut against Chile or something? It was something like that, and he conceded 2 goals, and the press didn't leave him alone, and he got hounded. And then remember the headline after it was like, "This is why he plays in the SPL," and you're going, "Are you winding me up?" Like, seriously?
Of all the players that we've had that could play in the England team or in the Dutch team and all the rest of it, it's baffling. But that's the media down there for you, and they do the same. Well, not the exact same, but a similar vein. When they go into the big tournaments, they let the media pump themselves up to the nth degree, then they just fall massively. And the media dictate and decide what's going to happen. So if the media decide, fuck you, Fraser Forster, you play Scotland, you're going to be shite, they're going to hound him, as they did. Which is a crying shame because, honestly, guys, fully agree with you. Best goalkeeper in our lifetime, outside of Borch.
That is quite mad when you talk about the English media, how they are massively entitled. Like, for only winning one major tournament in 1966, I mean, there's no denying they're always going to be a good crop of players, but it's never known confidence like it when you've only won one major tournament in all your history. One more than Scotland, right enough, but still, we didn't go and think we're going to win everything.
But there's the thing, Franny.
Madness.
You take 66, we'll even talk about 67 ourselves from the club perspective.
Yeah.
It's all right talking about it, celebrate it every year. I get it. It's a massive achievement. If Scotland ever won the World Cup, I'll never shut up about it until the day I die as well. And I don't begrudge them enjoying that and remembering it.
Oh, no, totally.
But it's the entitlement, as you said, the attitude when they go in, it's like, oh, we've won it before, we're going to win it again. Could you imagine Celtic going into the Champions League every year and just having that same entitlement and self-righteousness about it? We get spanked right back out of it. I mean, we do get spanked out of it, mind you, but still.
One of the funniest things is watching the pundits getting involved in all that hype, like Gary Lineker, Ian Wright, Alan Shearer, Martin Keown. They're all in the ITV studios and they're all like, oh, we're quietly confident we can do something this year. And year after year, it's coming home. The only thing coming home is their players empty-handed, and that's guaranteed. I can't stand it.
I'm concerned that Jude Bellingham's just a different gravy, but
of course. But again, Franny, look, we're a Celtic podcast talking about England, but the reason why is because of Fraser Forster. But look, it's just the entitlement. It's the godlike attitude when it comes to football. And like you guys said, celebrate your victories, but don't throw them in our faces every year and say you're going to do something when you really don't. Simple as that.
No, and I think we'll park the England chat for another day for now, and we'll move on to the right back. I'll just quickly say, anybody in the comments that want to kind of try and put together a team kind of last minute, I crack on and we'll bring your ideas up and stuff, your teams. But we'll move on to the right back position. Anthony, I'll come to you first this time, just in case you picked the same player as me and Stephen. Who have you pumped for it right back?
So I debated this morning, and when you gave me the rule of they have to still be registered as a player, I thought, oh, am I missing a trick that there's a player, possibly still technically a player, but just doesn't have a club? I thought, oh, fuck. So I actually Googled somebody just in case, and it turns out that Mikael Lustig is not a player anymore from what I understand. So I've went for the next safer option, which is Josip Juranovic. I know he's only here for a year and a half, but I think he's one of the most complete right backs that we've seen in quite a long time outside of Lustig. And I think he's especially in the last 3 years, definitely the best one that we've had so far.
I see. I think I've mocked up here because I've went for Jeremy Frimpong, right? And I think I'm picking Frimpong more on what he's done after he left. Like, he was good at Celtic for the 18 months he was here. I mean, we bought him for about 300 grand, sold him for 12.
Brilliant.
I ran about 12 million. I think it was reported 11 million. But I think I'm basing him on what he's done at Bayer Leverkusen. I think that's why I put him in the team.
By your own rules, Franny, it's a parallel universe. Age does not matter. So we'll bring Frimpong of current age into the side and allow it.
My game, I can do what I want.
Aye.
But I've pumped for Frimpong, Stephen. Have you picked Frimpong, you picked Juranovic, or you went somewhere else? That'll make it really awkward if you go somewhere else.
Well, I have to say, Alistair Jack comes in with a left field shout here, and Adam Matthews. He's still a registered player. He actually plays for the Cyprus team that Neil Lennon used to manage, and that was up until as recently as the start of the season.
Did you again front for them at one point?
He did. But Adam Matthews was a great player, and I was listening to Mark Wilson on, I think it was the open goal wing challenge, and he was speaking about when Adam Matthews came in, he stole his position. So when he was in the squad, he got injured, and Adam Matthews came in, and he never looked back. So again, Alistair, that's a great shout. In regards to Josip Juranovic, and I'm going to be totally honest, for some reason, he totally escaped my mind, and I didn't really think about him. And I'm on the lines of Franny here. I chose Frimpong because not only the kind of nominal fee we got him for, in that kind of seasons when we had him, he was along with the likes of Turnbull, I know we're saying this now, and even Sorrow to an extent, was a bright spark. Do you know what I mean? The kind of pace that he brought, the enthusiasm down the wing, assisting goals, and he was really raw. He done things he probably didn't mean, but all that catchphrase like "oh my days" and ban into the club and ban into the culture. I know that's a cliche saying it, but he really did. And then he jumped at his first chance to move to the Bundesliga, and I think at Bayer Leverkusen, he's up there with their top goal scorers and assist makers in the league under Xavi Alonso. I know he's doing a fantastic job, but I'm going to be honest with you, lads. Like, between Josip Juranovic and Jeremy Frimpong, I'm actually inclined to go with Josip Juranovic at right back. I think, thinking back on him coming in and kind of when Lustig left, he left a big void, and we were trying to fill that for a few years, and then we got Juranovic under Postecoglou, and that inverted fullback position, he was so comfortable at it. You could tell that playing in the Croatian national team. He kind of played like a midfielder. He was quick. He had Ryan Kent in his back pocket every time he played him. Every big game, I thought he showed up.
Good on the ball.
Oh, he was fantastic on the ball. Brilliant delivery of the ball as well. Took a Panica penalty kick. Funny enough, at Bayer Leverkusen, wasn't it? So was he? He took that. Was it Bayer Leverkusen we were playing over in Germany, and he done the chip?
In Germany, might have been. I can't exactly. It might have been Bayer Leverkusen.
I think it was Bayer Leverkusen. That's the only German team I can remember as playing at that point. But if it goes down to a vote, and in the chat, if people want to get involved, and I see Pat McLaughlin, he's went Chris Morris, but Pat, the rule is the what ifs 11, the players have to be currently still playing, and he said Paul Telfer as well. And again, the players have to be still registered as a footballer. Paul Telfer, to be fair, is probably 50 and playing in the National League somewhere because he's nearly 50 at us. But I'll go Anthony. I'll compromise, and I'll put. If you agree, I'll put Josip Juranovic at right back.
Rules are the rules, Stephen. It's 2-1. I mean, I'll be honest. I'd kind of totally forgot about him too, and that is no slight on Josip Juranovic. It's just I just thought.
What are we not overlooking AJ? Did I think?
I think
is he not done it yet, like properly?
Yeah, I think he needs to be another year and show that the little downturn he's on just now isn't a sign of things to come. I think he needs to be a bit more consistent for a longer period. I say that. Josip was only here a year and a half, mind you.
But he was a baller, man. Absolute baller.
It was good. It was good for that year and a half. He obviously had some of his bad games. That obviously we've got that game at Ibrox and stuff where Stephen, fun enough, Stephen said about Ryan Kent, but I think it was your man. Oh, what was his name? He's not there anymore. Fashion Sakala just ripped him a new one.
When he came but he was at. Yeah, he was half out the door, I think then.
Aye. But no, so we're in with Juranovic at right back, and we'll now move to the left back position. feeling this might be a wee bit unanimous, this one. Stephen, we'll come to you first this time.
Go on, say it.
Say Andy Robertson.
Hey, you could have picked him. He's a registered player, isn't he? Look, you could be funny and say the likes of Greg Taylor. You could be funny and say Mitchell Frame, all these types of guys. Don't mean for a laugh, but there's only one guy who fills that position. That's KT, Kieran Tierney. He was fantastic, and when Izagiri got that unfortunate injury, and Ronnie Delia brought him in, he took his opportunity and he ran with it. And you see that a lot within this team. Cal McGregor, James Forrest, people of that ilk, once they get the opportunity, they're not really out of the team anymore, and they take it. And I thought Kieran Tierney was just the modern day fullback. And he done an interview recently and said he'll always be Celtic, he'll support Celtic, and he's loving his time at the Real Sociedad. And fair play to him. I think he needed a change from Arsenal. All the injuries he suffered there, much like us as well. He suffered a lot of injuries, and he kind of curtailed his career part a wee bit, in my opinion. But like, while he was with us, and it does leave a sour taste in the mouth that he left, but you have to understand he left for a club record fee of upfront £25 million. He wasn't joining Southampton or Norwich or whatever, or Brentford. He was going to Arsenal, one of the big hitters in the English Premier League, and he saw that opportunity. And he even talked about it. He didn't necessarily want to go, but when you weigh up all the options, and when the Celtic board hear an offer of upfront £25 million, they're wet. Their appetite's soaking. They want to get that deal done, no matter who you are. And it was done in the end. And look, I think he proves it in the Premier League. I remember Arsenal fans calling for him, especially in his earlier days, saying to be player of the season, young player of the season, be captain, and all that type of thing. So he showed it there. And again, it's one of these ones we haven't really filled that gap since he's left. I know people talk about Greg Taylor, but Greg Taylor's nowhere near his level. And I know Ross he said that's the first name that came to his mind when Kieran Tierney left. That's fair enough, but Kieran Tierney's a world-class footballer, a world-class left-back, and will be hard-pushed to find anyone like him.
I totally agree, and I think you've been harsh on Greg Taylor in the sense that, and I think, in fairness, Greg Taylor's suffering. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to be a big Greg Taylor lover in that, but I think Greg Taylor suffered the fact that, you said it yourself there, Kieran Tierney was a world-class player. We really got to be buying world-class players? No. So you were always going to be a level down for Kieran Tierney, in my opinion. And like you say, Stephen, he's went down to England, started off really well outside his injuries, but in the main he played really good. He was well fought down there. I think I was even talking about being captain at some point. But obviously Arteta's came in, likes to play sort of more that inverted fullback way, and things like how Pep and Postecoglou plays it, sort of a City Group model, and just didn't suit. As good as it, I think we all believe Kieran Tierney is, as a ball player, there's better out there. Zinchenko's better, but I think Zinchenko's just honestly, Zinchenko's, I can't stick the guy. I honestly cannot stick the guy.
Better than KT. There's no way he's better than Kieran Tierney.
There's no way he's better than Kieran Tierney. I just think Zinchenko's just all about his selling that. I just can't take to the guy. But what about yourself, Anthony? Who you plump for at left back?
No doubt, Kieran Tierney. There's no other player around. You don't have a player like that come through the ranks at Celtic and not select him as your left back option. He's going to be in the left back best 11 for the next God knows how many years. If we all talk about best 11 in our lifetime or the best 11 in the last decade or 2 decades, it's going to be Kieran Tierney every fucking time. No doubt about it.
I think as well, Brown Warrior makes a good point here. We found him in the youth setup, same with Calmac. Maybe we should do the same again and develop that area of the club. I think it has been lacking over the last couple of years in terms of youth development. And I know they're talking about the £25 million Barrowfield project and making a better youth academy and stuff, but we really need to take advantage of that. And I know, again, it flies in the face of when you say buy first team quality players and all that type of thing. But if there's a Kieran Tierney, if there's a Forrest, if there's a Cal McGregor in your academy, and you can see that potential early on, you need to nurture that talent and not let them leave. And this is not a kind of a hard luck story or hindsight, but look at Ben Doak, look at Leo Hjelde, who's way down to Leeds. I think he's getting games, and we just seem to let these guys slip away. And I know they're not getting an opportunity necessarily within the current setup, but maybe something in the future for another KT to come through needs to change that way, so the youth get a chance. If you understand what I mean, that's Brian Morey makes a good point.
I do. It's all. I do agree. You should try and develop your own. And like there probably will be folk in the comments maybe would have argued Robertson at left back, which I think is a fair argument as well. I think he's a top player, but I think Kieran Tierney will probably get the majority of folks' votes simply because he was homegrown and did actually play for the club as much as Robertson was technically released for the club. So there's not necessarily that affiliation to him, if you like, as a Celtic player. But I would like us to try and obviously utilise the youth setup more. I think some of us, probably myself included, I think back at the time when they discussed the Lowland League, obviously the Reserve League just totally got scrapped, and then they discussed the Lowland League. And I think maybe sort of it wasn't looked into properly, and I thought that will be great. It's competitive football. But I think the more you look at it, I think that's one of our biggest problems right now is the reserves playing in the Lowland League. I just think it's not a great standard for the players to be playing in there. And they need to try and bring the Reserve League back for me somehow.
Yeah, 100%. Because you even seen in the Reserve League, Franny, that senior players are dropping in when they're recovering from injury, and you learn from them types of guys. That's not an option in the Lowland League. One thing I do want to ask you, and Anthony brings up a good point. Robertson would have actually been a perfect what-if selection, a real sliding doors moment. Now, is Andy Robertson, now again, he's won a Champions League, a Premier League, and that type of thing. But if you weigh up Kieran Tierney's versatility, playing centre-back and all that types of stuff, like, would you rather have an Andy Robertson or Kieran Tierney?
I don't know. I wouldn't grumble either.
I think you look at the Scotland setup and see that that's a really tough question to ask. The fact that Steve Clarke has tried to put both of them into the team at the same time, playing a wing back, full back, or wing back, centre back kind of position with both of them in the same side at times, tells you how difficult that choice is. It's kind of like a romantic thing, tells you want to pick Tierney all the time because he was here through a professional contract, and he did do his time here and win his medals. Think of the time when he ran back from the hospital at Hampden to lift the trophy and stuff. But then other people will have the Andy Robertson. He's played at the EPL at the highest level, won the highest club prize in the Champions League and all that, and that speaks volumes as well. So there's good debate for both. Me personally, I'm still going to keep picking Kieran Tierney.
Another player that you could have threw in there, Fanny, was Aaron Hickey.
Nah.
Aaron Hickey was a youth product. I'm just saying he could have been up for discussion.
Aaron Hickey might well go on to achieve very good things in football, but I don't right now, because if you're throwing Andy Robertson into the conversation, the guy's won the Premier League, the guy's won the Champions League, God knows how many caps he's got for Scotland. They're just not putting Aaron Hickey in that. Kieran Tierney's obviously won plenty of honours at Celtic, went down to Arsenal. I think he's won an FA Cup there, but featured a lot and is now over in Sociedad and loan. I just think Aaron Hickey's no competing with, not to knock Aaron Hickey because he's clearly a good player, but I just think he's not competing at that level. And to be fair, I think Anthony and Dion are right in the sense that Robertson is probably a perfect what-if. I feel like it's what because he technically never played, but I've always preferred, probably biased, I've always preferred KT over Andy Robertson, but I mean, I'm not complaining with either or at the end of the day. I'm not complaining with either or. Now, what we'll do with this bit is we'll go with your centre half pairing just to make it easier, because every one of us have probably picked at least one of these players, but we'll come to yourself, Anthony, just your centre half pairing.
Centre half pairing it's a no-brainer for me. There's a small debate that somebody might want to pick a pair that's actually played together, and I can see why one of the comments had that up there. We a pair of players, but the obvious one is Van Dijk. Again, played at the highest level, played at World Cups, played in won the Champions League, and if you're looking at players of that caliber at Celtic or played for Celtic, then you need to look at the current guy who's the number one choice centre back, Carter Vickers, as a pairing.
Nah, totally agree. That, I mean, that's what I went for. I've went Carter Vickers and Virgil van Dijk. Like I say, Virgil van Dijk came in, had a bit of pedigree about him. I think he was well thought of. I actually think I heard a story I can't remember. It was on another podcast, I think, about how Mialby went and scouted him and said he was terrible, but told Neil Lennon he had to sign him. It was mad. So, and I think when he came in, he struggled. I appreciate maybe the level wasn't as good. Or was it Lennon? It was Lennon that signed him, wasn't it? It was Lennon.
That was Lenny, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, maybe the standard wasn't as good, but it just, I think he struggled it when he came in. You always felt he had it in him to go to the top level, Stephen, and then, like you said, he did. He's went on and won it all, essentially at domestic level. And I'm with Anthony. Like, you could have maybe went Jason Denier, they had a great partnership together. You could have went CCV Starfelt and stuff, but as I say, it's parallel universes. How I think these two would have CCV. Just look at him now. He's worked well with Starfelt. Start of the season, he worked well with Narovka. He's worked well with Scales. He just looks like he'll be able to play with anybody.
So this is not to knock any of those players, but see the pair of them, Carter Vickers and Van Dijk, they both do the exact same thing. And this is not to knock anybody, but they bring up the other players around them, and a quality defender, a quality leader at the back does that. Van Dijk made Denier look so much better than he actually is, although Denier is a good player, went on to play well for Lyon and stuff. And no disrespect to Starfelt either, he's a good player. But Carter Vickers was the linchpin there. He's the one who brought that level up and made that partnership how strong it was. I mean, they went on a run of games uncontested. It's ridiculous.
And it's weird when you actually think about it, when you look at going to Starfelt and Carter Vickers' career. Carter Vickers bounced around clubs for 6 months, a year, never really stuck around a club. Starfelt maybe had your typical career where he was 2-3 seasons at a team, but it was obviously CCV that was the better, well, is the better player in my opinion. Again, like you say, not to knock Starfelt or anything, because it was clearly a top player, but excuse me. But Carter Vickers and Van Dijk, for me, they were absolutely top. Where are you going with your centre half pairing, Stephen?
I mean, first of all, it looks like Anthony has froze. I don't know if you're still there, Anthony. I can hear us, but if you're froze, pop off and pop back on again if you can, mate. But for myself, the Virgil van Dijk thing it's nailed on. It's straightforward. He's getting in, isn't he? Really, like, do you know what I mean?
Aye.
And I remember we had John Heron, one of the next Celtic youth product. He was on doing a wee player interview with myself a couple of years back, and he was talking about when Virgil first came into the club. And I don't know if he's come back or not here. He seems to have lost connection.
I'll keep an eye on him.
But so when he first came into the club, John Heron was like one of the first training sessions. He came in, and as a centre back, he looked kind of built like a fiver, so to speak. I mean, he was tall, he was athletic, he was robust, and he was saying he was taking on the players, going up the pitch, scoring worldies, top corners, the bottom corners, headers, whatever, free kicks, and all the players just kind of gasped about this guy's a joke. And I remember Neil Lennon saying one of the very first sessions as well, you knew he was going to reach the top. And a lot of managers say this, do you know what I mean? A lot of managers be like, oh, we knew it from the start, we knew it from the beginning. But with Virgil van Dijk, especially in the Scottish League, you could tell he was miles above. Even in the Champions League as well, it's like he had some mistakes in him, but he was young, he was learning, he was naive, and then gradually when he played more at that level, you can see that the top class that he was. And it's like he's a stickler. And I know you've teed me up for an absolute shocker here when I say my next pick, because you and Anthony are in harmony with Van Dijk and Carter Vickers. I've went different. My partner my partner is just seeing Dion's comment there, built like a long cash roll up, Stephen. But my partnership is Virgil van Dijk and Christopher Ajer. And the reasoning behind this is quite simple. Ajer and Van Dijk can take the ball from the back, can dribble the length of the pitch. They can also defend. They're quick recovery pace. They're tall. They're strong. They're athletic. They can move. And I know the argument with Carter Vickers and things, that's fair enough. He's a fantastic player and all that. I love him at Celtic at the moment. But for me, it's Christopher Ajer. That goal always comes to mind was at Pataudry when he ran down the right-hand side, took them all out, banged it into the top corner. What an absolute goal. And I just really like him as a player. And he came into us really young. He was a captain of his team in Norway. He was playing senior games. He got loaned out to Kilmarnock to get to know the Scottish game. And he'd done really well there. And he came back to us and he took that and he ran with it. And he was a mainstay until he left. I know with Brentford is kind of up and down with him at the minute. I don't think Thomas Frank quite likes him. He's never really involved in starting at Evans. He comes on a lot, but he doesn't really start much games for Brentford. But I'm going to throw it out there. People can say here, Anthony, I don't know if you heard, but I've went for Van Dijk and Christopher Ayer.
I can see that. I can see that.
Aye. I don't think he's a bad player. Nah.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see a reasoning, but I thought Ayer at times was rash and dived into things for the sake of it. But again, in the COVID season, I think he was a wee bit of shining light in the COVID season. By the way, Monty, that'd be some centre-half partnership.
That would be.
Doesn't fall within the rules, unfortunately.
No, I can see it. I mean, he's a midfielder come defender. He can play right back as well. He can carry the ball forward. He was a bit rash at times, but I can see why you would go for him. I don't agree with it when you've got Carter Vickers, but I can see why you could go for it.
Right.
It's not the necessarily agreeing part. I mean, you could also point to the fact, Celt, Idiot brings up here, it's mental that F.A. Ambrose played in some of her biggest games in Europe. These people in their own right, centre-halves, had big games and played well for us when they were there. I mean, F.A. Ambrose was an enigma, but, I mean, you look at Christopher Ayer, you look at Dedrick Boyata, you look at Jason Denayer, Simonovic, all these types of guys, they were good players. Philippe Bankovic, he still gets talked about, and he's on the treatment table. I think he's retired, so you can't really name him. The reason why I picked Ayer, much like you picked Carter Vickers, I just think if we're looking at a style, if we're looking at overall style, Van Dijk and Ayer can play the ball, they can take the ball on the run, they can link up with the midfield, and I just think as an all-round package, I think that would be fantastic. And look, that's my vote. I'll leave it up to you to decide.
Oh, well, the rules are the rules. Two have picked CCV, so CCV's in, Stephen.
Well, who's the other one going to be beside him? I picked CCV as well.
How many centre halves have you picked? Like, so you picked Van Dijk, CCV, and Ayer.
Oh shit! No shit. CCV. Right. So Van Dijk, Carter. It has to be Carter Vickers and Van Dijk. Fair enough.
Aye. Oh, God's sake, Stephen. God's sake. Right.
Fucked it already.
I think I did come to you for. I'm going to actually come to you, Stephen, for your sort of a central defender in midfield. Because I've looked at your team, and this is going to make a lot of folk laugh. Who is it, Stephen?
My CDM? Why would it make people laugh? I'm actually interested. Give me your outlines on why it make people laugh. Before you name the player.
Tell me it.
Are you confusing it with mine, perhaps?
No. I think I've looked at yours. Go and tell me it, Stephen. This is going to be very embarrassing if it isn't.
My centre defensive mid, Scott Brown.
Yes. Go and look at the rules, Stephen.
Doesn't play football anymore.
Is that the man? No! I will. We'll come to you, Anthony.
Oh my god, that's scundering.
So
now,
I wouldn't.
You clearly understood the rules because
I wouldn't call it a central defensive midfielder, but he is in that kind of position when you look at a three-man midfield sort of thing. I went with Ki Sung-young, who's still playing football in South Korea just now.
He is. I think he's still in the top tier because I considered him because I only know he plays in the top tier because I considered him and I was like, he's about to still be playing.
Had to Google as well.
Aye, to check if he was still playing. But Ki Sung-young, did he not say you get known as Dave?
Dave,
mad like that.
Was it no an interview where somebody tried to ask him how to pronounce his name and he just basically said, just call me Dave.
Aye, just call me Dave.
Wanyama's in the chat. I contemplated Wanyama. I really, really did. And then I started thinking about the general flow of the team. And although Wanyama, I think we're screaming out for that kind of player for the big European games at times, I wanted a more attacking-minded, kind of fancier footballing team. So I went with Key in the midfield there. Hopefully complements the rest of the attacking front as well.
Well, it doesn't come to mine, man. Fucking retired.
Now, I'll let you know who I've picked, Stephen, and I'll give you a wee chance to pick your one. I went with Wanyama. I went just simply because maybe a wee bit of that's based on we're screaming out for that type of player now. That we're kind of asking for that sort of Wanyama. Ki Sung-yueng was probably to an extent that. He was a big laddie, and plenty injuring about him and stuff. But I thought Wanyama, absolute baller, just bullied boys in their league. Obviously, like Pat McLaughlin saying, got that goal against Barcelona. And he had one against Hearts as well, where it was late in the game, we were chasing the goal, and he absolutely just pinged it into the top corner for about 25 yards. Obviously left to go to Southampton onto Spurs, and I don't know if he had a spell in Belgium or just went straight over to America, but he's obviously over there playing now. But I thought, for me, in that sort of the central of the three, I've picked Victor Wanyama. So Stephen, theirs gave you two. Are you going with any two, or are you picking somebody else that's not retired?
Neil Lennon. No, I'm joking. I've had an absolute nightmare. You teed me up, by the way. I'm coming in like that. Talk about the fishing hook, man.
I hear Paul McStay's no bad player these days.
I mean, wasn't Ki Sung-yueng? He was described as a Korean Gerrard at one point, wasn't he? Remember that being the big headline when we signed him? He is. Ki was a brilliant player. I thought he was, as you said, Anthony. He was. I mean, as a ball specialist, as a ball player, I thought he was fantastic, and even tackling and kind of breaking up the play, he was great at it as well. Wanyama, look, I have to go with Franny here. I'm going to compromise because I've absolutely fucked my own selection up. I'm going to go with Victor Wanyama because I thought he was, again, we're on about one physicality, and he's that ideal player you want in the midfield. Like, no one get near him. Even watching Barcelona play against him, the players were bouncing off him. He was brilliant in the Champions League. He was brilliant in big games in the SPL. And we got him for like 800 grand from, was it Beerschot in Belgium at the time? And what an absolute buy he was, and a colossus. And he still loves Celtic to this day. Played a big part in Alistair Johnson joining from Montreal when he was there with him, and I think AJ speaks about him in kind words and the way he says about Celtic all the time. And look, it's both hard choices there, but I'm gonna go with Victor Wanyama. I'm not gonna go with Moy. I'm not gonna go with Sorrow. Victor Wanyama.
Sound right. Well, glad you listened to the rules, Stephen. Right, we'll go to.
Well, do you know what confused me? I'll be totally honest, right? Scott Brown, when he got sacked from Fleetwood, there was a headline in the paper saying he was training with a League Two Scottish side. And I think that stayed in my mind, being like, has he registered again as a player? But obviously he hasn't, but he was.
I don't know. I'm sure he was playing in a friendly. I think that's what that was all about. I'm sure he played in
Does that count?
Friendly match.
Does that not count?
Because he didn't need to be a professional player to play in a friendly match. It's the whole point. It's a friendly, Stephen. I could play in a friendly match.
Rules.
I know. Wasn't it rules? If there's no rules, Stephen, there'd be anarchy. All right. God's sake, man! I think you were in the Green Brigade the way you're going on.
Wow.
Right. So we'll move on to the next player in midfield. We'll come to your cell again, Stephen. We'll give you a chance to see if you've picked a player that's not retired this time. So give me your next midfielder. And he's away. We'll come to your cell, Anthony. Then.
I think
I'm back.
Oh, he's back.
Right.
He's back.
On you go, Stephen. We'll give you a chance to pick a midfielder that's not retired.
So my number 8, technically, isn't it? Has to be Callum McGregor. Don't think you can look past him and what he's achieved at Celtic, even more so when Scott Brown's left. He took the mantelpiece of that captaincy and made it his own. And I always remember when he first came in under Ronnie, he was a winger, predominantly off the left-hand side and right-hand side he played. And he played a match over, I think it was Helsinki, in a qualifier, and he scored. I think that was one of his first ever games. And I think when he went on loan to Notts County, he was with Jack Grealish, and he was up there with Player of the Year down there. He was scoring goals and he was contributing. And when he came back to us, I don't think that the signs in the beginning looked good. I think, again, it was more injury that forced Ronnie's hand to take that opportunity. And again, we always said that these players have to take it and make that possession their own, and he has done. He's made multiple possessions his own. And I just love him as a player. I love him as a captain. And look, he's not the ideal, what would you call that, CDM that people think he plays. He's a quarterback, in my opinion. He links up the play, takes the ball. He never really loses it. He's so key to how we play. And if he's on it, as we see against Rangers both times, we're a hard team to stop, and he's a hard player to pick up, and that's my reason for Calmac. And added to that, the trophies he's won, the players that under his stewardship that's improved, the likes of exactly Corville, the likes of Matt O'Reilly, I think, is learning from him, and it's making a great difference to his game, along with Brendan Rodgers. And he's so invaluable. And I think Rodgers summed it up. Like, literally, he's a level above any player in the league, levels above. And we're so lucky, in my opinion, that he stayed with us for many years as he has, and he's not really left to chase the riches of the Premier League, which he could have. We know Rodgers tried to sign him for Leicester, and look, he chose to stay with Celtic. And I mean, we've been the main beneficiaries of that. He's a fantastic football player.
And I totally agree. He's who I've plumped for as well, Stephen. I mean, the countless honours that he's got at Celtic and stuff is unreal. I generally think it might have been me. You two as well after the Celtic Rangers game. We were talking about McGregor. I think it was maybe Brown one. The comment said, "Is he generally one of the best players that we've ever had?" And things like that in midfield. And I think he's top. And I really think he's a really not underrated at Celtic, but I think underrated maybe in UK football. I generally think Cal McGregor play with nearly any team in the world football. I just think he's technically that good. I think he's that good. You see him when he plays with Scotland. Obviously, he's got better players like McTominay, McGinn, Gilmore, and that round about him. It really just, you see him, he zips the ball in great and stuff. He's brilliant. I don't know where you are with your next midfielder, Anthony.
Exactly. There's a clean sweep. It had to be McGregor. If Brown was technically still playing, you could have a debate there as we did last week after the
training.
But it's McGregor all day. Under the rules that we're in just now, it's McGregor all day long there. He has to be up there with Brown as one of the most decorated players, medal-wise. Obviously, needs to do a bit more as a captain to take the mantle off Brownie for that one, which will probably be a struggle, considering his age. But as a player, he's done it all with Celtic, hasn't he? He'll go down as a legend at this club once he retires. And I'd imagine his Notts County loan deal aside, it'll be a one-club man sort of thing. Yeah.
I think he'll be one of them that will be a one-club man that's not a one-club man, I feel like, because like I say, had that bit at Notts County and stuff that you just don't know that probably it did help develop him and stuff, and fair play to him, he just came back, and that's quite a good comment, by the way. I was thinking a different Kaiser, but it's sorry, I just got totally distracted there. But I know Cal McGregor. I just think
fucking distracted everybody.
He's a top player. I'll explain it later. But we'll come to yourself, Anthony. Your third and final midfielder.
Right. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to change what I've put down on my paper because I've already sent the pictures.
Somebody just came to your head, didn't you?
Aye, and I don't know why I've not picked him because, like I said at the start, I was too busy fixating on the technically still registered as a footballer. I thought, right, I know Tom Rogic retired early and young. I thought, but is he still registered so he can play like part-time football in Australia or some nonsense like that? Or did he sign for a club in Doha or some nonsense like that and he's still kicking about? So I thought, Tom Rogic, I want to get him in there. So I Googled him, as I did with a few other players, obviously, and I realised he's no. So I've struggled, and a certain player who plays for us currently, who will probably be your two guys' picks, I forgot all about him. So I've actually manipulated it to try and get a second striker in here, and it doesn't complement the midfield at all. But I've plumped with Kyogo playing off of the striker as some sort of bridge between it all.
I can get it because I'll be honest, I have looked at your team, and when folks see it, that'll make sense why you've picked Kyogo, because you've went more of the sort of the 4-2-3-1 type idea. I'm sure your formation's kind of more like that. So Kyogo's more in the 10, more in advance. So I do kind of understand that, and I get it. I mean, I've went for a current player, but it's the man of the moment for me now. I couldn't really think of
Bernardo.
No. Well, he is actually the man of the moment, but I went for another one that is similar to Andy Robertson in the sense that it fits into the what if. I've went with Matt O'Reilly because it falls into the what if for me in the sense that what if we got our first choice that time? we wanted Riley McGree. He chose
yeah.
Middlesbrough. We went for this guy for MK Dons that had fell down the sort of pecking order in Fulham, went to MK Dons to revive his career. Was getting looked at by Liverpool. We taking a chance. I say taking a chance. We spent $1.5 million taking a chance on him or something like that. And I just think the guy's absolutely dynamite. You could have maybe picked up. I considered putting Stuart Armstrong in. I thought he was brilliant at us. I really did think he was good. He obviously went to Southampton. He's been really good. But for me, I just think Matt Riley's he's absolutely frightening. And I just think Callum McGregor aside, I think Callum McGregor could play for anybody in the world. I think Matt Riley, I put him in probably in that category, and I think there's a chance he might do something like that. There's obviously the talk of Inter Milan and things, so I had to put Matt Riley in the team, Stephen. I don't know what you.
I mean, looking at the comments there, look at Stuart Armstrong, and anyone who watches this podcast regularly knows I don't think we've ever really replaced them properly. Obviously, the players and like O'Reilly and Bernardo could be them, but I loved Stuart Armstrong at the club. And even when Rodgers came in, the development you've seen in him. And again, it's very similar to the way O'Reilly's developing within the team at the moment under Rodgers' kind of watch. And they're both quality players in their own right. But I've actually went for Rio Hatate. I think Rio...
We've got 3 different players here.
Well, we're going to have to fight. We're just going to have to fight. That's what's going to happen. I know what you're going to say. You're keeping your pick. You're not changing it.
No.
We're going to fight it out to the death.
I was going to say, considering I severely messed up that pick by not thinking of Matt O'Reilly, I'm kind of half in the Matt O'Reilly camp. So if we want to duke it out somehow, I think I'm going to fall on the Matt O'Reilly side.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to convince you, right? Do you know why I'm going to convince you? Rio Hatate has been the love child since he's joined this club. He came in and his impact over the first 6 to 7 weeks was fantastic. He scored at Tynecastle, scored 2 goals against the Rotten Mob, and he's done a lot. Not only that, Rio Hatate in Champions League level as well. I know he gives the ball away that, but he's only really player. Yes, Boise, he is a baller. Again, there's 3. He's on the O'Reilly bus. The O'Reilly bus. There's a new bus. But I just think, for me, Hatate, he's a wonderful, wonderful footballer, and he can do anything. I know Rodgers was speaking about when he first came in and he wanted to change aspects of his game, track it back, work rate, and I thought until he got injured, he was doing that. He was changing his game, and you've seen him, I think, adapting slightly to the new formation, adapting slightly to the new tactics, and getting involved with the play more, dropping deep, getting into the box, like we're used to him doing. And I just think we talked about it before. I mean, we talked about O'Reilly earning the 25 million plus. We were speaking about Rio like this before Rodgers signed the club under Postecoglou. Everyone was going, Rio's going to go for a club record fee. And if he recaptures that form again, I think that he'll be one of them guys who will do that. I think for breaking the lines, for quickness of play, for intelligence, and yeah, sometimes he gives the ball away and he's frustrating, but he's a player who takes a risk, and I love that within a player, and that's the reason why I've went for Hatate, albeit Brown's retired, so he had to give me one of them. Wanyama's in there, Kalmak's in there, and you're trying to tell me a midfield of Wanyama, Kalmak, and Rio wouldn't put the frighteners up you? Of course it would.
I'm not saying it wouldn't, and I'm not taking anything away from Hatate, but you made a point there that if Hatate can get back, I think Hatate's a really, really good player. He could be a top player, but O'Reilly has taken his game that extra level. I know Hatate has been injured, and he was probably on a wee bit of form, but O'Reilly has a bit of luck, obviously stayed fit. But I just think season on season since O'Reilly's came in, he's just taken his game level on level on level. Whereas I think Hatate's got better, but not for me. Like, I get McGregor, Wanyama, Hatate is a great midfield, but you're not telling me it's better than Wanyama, McGregor, O'Reilly. I'm sorry, Stephen.
I'll tell you why it's better. Yeah. I look at O'Reilly, I look at McGregor and Wanyama. Now, for me, O'Reilly doesn't have that burst of pace, that kind of edge of the box, drop of the soldier, drop of the shoulder, and you're in. For me, he doesn't have that. Rio has that. And even when he came on against St Mirren, he looked like he had that wee yard of pace again. O'Reilly's got everything else. But I'm looking at this from a point. Kalmak's the deep line playmaker in this kind of position, threading the balls into whoever I have up top. Hopefully they're not retired. And you've got Rio getting on the end of that. And I think for me, it's class. Like, Oh, 100%, boys. But I'm coming across the point of that wee burst of pace to get inside the box and be that second striker, like you said with Hugo Anthony. That's why I'm sticking with him.
I really picks himself up in nice wee positions in that sort of the inside channel. So, and Stephen, it's my game, my rules. Two's picked O'Reilly. O'Reilly's in.
Well, I haven't heard Anthony speak. You've just presumed that. He said it before I talked, and please don't say O'Reilly, please. No.
Please don't say O'Reilly. See, you put me in a position. I can see what you're saying, Stephen. I think back to the Real Madrid game last year, the first one, where we went toe-to-toe with them for the first half, 60 minutes sort of thing. I really think we done fantastically well against Real Madrid. And after that game, I honestly thought Rio Tati was the standout performance, that so much so that I think teams like Real Madrid would have had an eye on him for a while after that. His form's dropped off this year. He's been injured. He's had whatever issues going on about contracts. People will tell you he's played on his mind. I don't think it did. I think it's just injury. And he truly is a quality player. As you say, he's got that little burst of pace. He can drop the shoulder. He can turn a man really well. O'Reilly can't do it as quickly as that. But then O'Reilly is more of a Tom Rogic kind of player when he comes to complementing this midfield three. And if we're going to try and build an 11 that was going to kind of somewhat complement and hopefully play well together, then if you're playing Kalmak and Wanyama, I think Hatate is just a third option that's just going to sit a bit too deep. I don't think you've got, as much as Hatate can get into the box sometimes, I don't think you've got enough there as a complementary third choice. You need a Tom Rogic, you need a Matt O'Reilly, and yeah, I'm going to side with Matt O'Reilly.
Thanks very much, Anthony.
You're welcome.
Very much. And on that, I'll come to you, my soundest pal. On your, we'll start with the right mid. We can be a wee bit flexible with us in the sense that they might have predominantly played a lot on the left, played a lot on the right, but they could play both sides. So, as I say, parallel universes. It's a what ifs. Who you pump for sort of for the right ear? So, for the right.
As you say, kind of left side, right side. We did this a lot with a couple of players back in the noughties where we flipped them over so you could have the left foot on the right side and all the rest of it. And currently he's still playing football. And currently I believe he is actually playing right sided of a midfield. I'm going to stick with him. Aidan McGeady, right mid.
I see. We briefly spoke off air about this, and I totally forgot he was still playing football. And he was a top player at us. I mean, he ripped in the Champions League. He ripped AC Milan a new one and things like that. I ripped Madeira a new one. Was ripping Nesta a new one. You're like, these are top guys. These are guys that have won it all, won World Cups in that. It's madness. But I'd forgot about him, so I went for Jota, Stephen. Just a wee bit of probably recency bias in that one, in the sense that for me was you're sort of it seems a bit contradict as if this is not a slant on McGeady because I totally forgot he was still playing football, but because I think they're two very, very similar players. The type of winger that you want, gets the ball down, beats a guy, entertains, gets the players, the fans off their seat, if you like. I just thought Jota was all of that. He embraced the culture and things. He would like to get himself involved and stuff, but I went for Jota in the right, Stephen. I don't know if you've remembered that McGeady still played football.
Well, I have remembered it. Right, I'll keep that in the cap. Right, on the right hand side, I went for Felipe Yada. Much like yourself, mate, it is recency bias. Do you know what I mean? It's something you can remember fresh. And he was excellent while he was with Celtic. He was a showman. And I thought Gavin, actually, this line stuck with me when we were speaking to Gavin on the last podcast. He said he was an extrovert, and you could tell that. He was flamboyant. He got involved, everything. He was doing photo shoots in Celtic pubs. He was getting in with the people. His celebrations always meant something, not to mention his skills, his tricks, his goals, and even the free kick at the Bernabeu. These things stick with you. Do you know what I mean? He was electric when he was on form. He scored some vital goals. I remember a couple up with Tawdry and against them as well. The wee chip over Alan McGregor to finish his career off. And he was just an absolute cracking winger. And like you said, you have to be flexible at the top end of the pitch, and he could play right or left. And we knew that to accommodate Mieta, he had to play on the right-hand side more. And look, I know there's shouts in the comments for the likes of Paddy Roberts and things like that. But Felipe Yada was on fire for me the whole duration he was with us. I know he had a wee dip in form, but that was like 4 or 5 games. Then he came back and he was like, bang, I'm away here. And look, he went to Saudi Arabia, and was it for money? Probably, right? And it's not really it's not really working out for him over there. And there's talk of him again the romantic side of things. Is he going to come on loan back to Celtic? And this might sound controversial. I wouldn't take him back. He made the choice to move. He made the choice to go to Saudi Arabia, and that for me should be the end of his story with Celtic. And if he moves to Tottenham, like the rumours suggest as well, they're interested in him, then maybe he could forge a career for him in the EPL. But for me, his time was done at Celtic, and he's chose the path, and that's fair enough. I've no kind of gripes towards him, but I just loved him while he was with us, and again, so many memories that he brings, and again the celebrations, as I said, and he just bought into it. And when he was going to sign for us, do you remember all that? He was doing 5-a-side New York with Celtic tops and all on. Crazy. Like this guy's just out in the street, just playing football.
He played us a wee bit in the sense that he was teasing us, if you like, but as I Jota is a proper player. And I think he's obviously young enough to come back to Europe and forge a decent career. There's no denying he went over to Saudi for money.
Of course he did.
He'd done it 170 grand, 190 grand or something. I'll be there in a heartbeat, not a problem. But we'll jump onto the left, Stephen. And I'm sorry, Anthony Jota's got it simply. I would have probably picked McGeady if I remembered him, but I didn't.
I'll know why. I actually forgot about Jota.
But Stephen, if you go to the left of your midfield, who are you picking?
Well, I'll have to pick the Irish kingpin, don't I? The Irish man, Aidan McGeady. He's gone on the left for me. Like, and again, if I'm talking about memories, do you remember the Aidan McGeady spin? I remember being a kid, and that's all I used to try outside playing football. Oh, the McGeady turn. That's all I used to try outside playing football with mates. 9 times out of 10, I fell flat in my face. But the one time it worked, it was fantastic, and I scored a goal. You know, these things happen. Do you know what I mean? Quality and all that. But he was, again, coming in as a young kid under Martin O'Neill. And as you said, like the Champions League, he wasn't scared. He wasn't afraid. He took it on board, and he ripped Maldini a new one, that AC Milan team. Also against Manchester United and teams of that nature as well. He was a wonderful player. The Irish national team, I think he was probably playing for them up until about 2021, I believe. So that's how much he was relied on for them. So that kind of maverick type player that kind of gets you off your seats, can do stuff with the ball that other players can't. And he was certainly one of them guys. And another one, in my opinion, that left the club for money to go to Russia. But back then, whatever we got, I think it was like 9.5 million. I think the club wanted that fee, and I think McGeady came out and said he actually didn't want to move, much like Kieran Tierney, but the club wanted the money, and you can't really argue with that. He was just fantastic. And if you're talking about kind of flair, energy, skill at the top end of the pitch, Jota, McGeady one side, I think that brings the dynamism, that brings the assist, that brings the goals, that brings the excitement. And you'd be going to every match kind of what's going to happen. And it always baffled me why Gordon Strachan never really took on Aidan McGeady. And you always hear the stories that Strachan used to tell him that you stick to the line, you don't come away from the line, do not come away from the line. And anytime he did, he always made a difference, in my opinion. But obviously Strachan seen something different. Maybe it was his attitude, maybe they just didn't get on. And that's the way life goes sometimes, and you have to move on from the club. And that happened in the end. And look, I know he played against us in the Champions League and we spanked Spartak Moscow then. And that was quite fun. Do you know what I mean? It was fun to do that, but you can't deny his talent. You can't deny what he brought to the club in that period of time that was with us. And you can talk about Miera and you can talk about Scott Sinclair maybe, but Aidan McGeady was, again, if you're talking about just a winger with just flamboyance and skill and a flair for the game, that's why he's in for me.
I mean, well, both of you, Anthony have staked a good claim to get Aidan McGeady in this team. That much is one, you've picked them in 2 different positions. And as I say, well, you'll not be surprised I've not went for him for left mid, because obviously I never remembered him at the right. I didn't necessarily remember him on the left, but one of the easiest picks for me was Scott Sinclair on the left. I don't know about you, Anthony.
Yeah, Scott Sinclair as well. I just need to point out, are we actually going to get 3 votes for Aidan McGeady, and yet he doesn't get into the side on either side?
It's looking that way, by the way. It's looking that way.
Yeah, for the left wing, Scott Sinclair. I'll admit I forgot about Jota for some reason, but see, even thinking on it for a purely left wing side of it, I'm still going to pick Scott Sinclair. On his day at Celtic, what did he go? 6 or 7 games in a row when he first signed for us, scoring every single game. I think he got a brace against Hearts as well when he first joined. He's an unbelievable talent. His goal scoring record for 3-4 years was, double figures, nigh on 20 goals every season for us. He never let that drop, really. He can link up well with the striker at the time, which we'll come on to in a minute as well. He's just different class for us. Very humble kind of guy, and I kind of want to bring it back, Stephen, to Carter Vickers, as you mentioned that he's played at quite a lot of teams, 6-month loan here, 6-month loan there, and I wonder if Carter Vickers has mentally done a similar thing to what Scott Sinclair did when he joined Celtic, although Sinclair was a lot more public about admitting it, that he made his money at Man City. He's done all the stuff he had to do in England. He's made all his money. He's not playing football. When he joined Celtic, he said he's not playing football for the money anymore. He's playing it for the joy of the game, and he wanted to win medals, and he truly did enjoy and love the game. I think he did when he was up here playing for us. And you saw that in how he kept getting those goals and just really enjoyed coming in off that left side. And I'm hoping that it's a similar thing for Carter Vickers, that he's probably made his money and he's probably now realised what his level is. And by all means, it possibly is a wee half step above where we currently are, SPFL kind of wise. But these are guys that are probably realising they're not going to get into an EPL winning side. So why not enjoy your football at a club where you can be loved and still play in the Champions League and still earn a good wage whilst also probably having millions in the bank anyway.
I know, totally agree. I think, like I say, Sinclair was one of the easiest picks for me. It was always got to be in the left for me with Sinclair, and like I say, he bounced around a lot of clubs in that, Anthony, and stuff. And then when he did come in, he obviously came in late, and I say late in the window, it was the start of the season. I think he signed that morning, goes on to score the winning goal against Hearts, and I just think he never once looked back. And it was a transfer, I think, off memory that sort of dragged on a wee bit in the summer. You could tell Rodgers really wanted him and knew he was going to take us to that next level. It was not a top like superb player, but it was above the level that we had. He was a really good player, and I think Atena, we noticed some of this. Like I think in his first season, he actually won Player of the Year and stuff. Obviously made it into the team year. It was a treble winner, won every trophy while he was here and stuff. And I think he still speaks fondly of us. So Sinclair has to be in the team. Has to be in the team. I totally forgot about McGeady, but I think even then on the left, just what Sinclair brought to that team and what he would bring to the team now, I just think is absolutely frightening. But we're getting right to the focal point of the team now, and we know Anthony's no picked the current sort of a guy that's probably been hailed as the best since Larsson. He's got him in his team, Anthony, in fairness to him. He just was obviously getting him in to get somebody else in the team. But I'll come.
Two of us have McGeady in our team, and he's nowhere to be seen.
I know. Yeah. But we'll come to yourself, Anthony. Who's spearheading this fantastic team we're assembling?
I'm now thinking that this guy, the guy that's in my attacking midfield position, might actually not get into this team. And as you say, he's in the debate as being the best player since Larsson, or best striker since Larsson. The first name almost on my team sheet was this guy, Hunt Scalper extraordinaire, is Moussa Dembele for me, and it's to go in line with the wingers themselves. And maybe I'm thinking back to the days of having Sinclair, but to connect with Dembele and having Aidan McGeady on the right side coming in and connecting in my team anyway. But Jota would do superbly well there as well, don't worry. But I think he would thrive with those two supporting him. Dembele, big lad up top, as you say, focal point of the team. Get the ball up to him, he'll do damage every single day.
I know, it's who I've plumped for as well. And it's strange, it's maybe a wee bit controversial in the fact that I think it's a fair argument to say that Kyle was probably the best since Larsson. But it's just, Dembele's the type of striker I like. He's just that big, bullying boy. I just thought he was a different gravy when he was here. Like it's weird. I would maybe argue Kyogo's a better player than him, but I would probably have Dembele in my team first, which makes absolutely zero sense. But I just think he's a more all-rounded, complete striker than Dembele. I mean, you just need to look. He went to Lyon on the back of us. We apparently, if you read a lot of papers back then and now, we never made any money on him because he left Lyon for nothing, but they forget the 20 million that we sell him for and stuff like that. But he obviously went on to Lyon, had a very good career in France, goal scoring wise. Then went over to Atletico Madrid on loan. Although he's got a La Liga medal, I think that's a wee bit false in the sense that I think it was more he played enough games than actually contributed. I feel like. But I could be wrong.
I think La Liga is actually one of those leagues where you just need to appear.
Right,
it's not one of those ones you need like 13 appearances or something. I think you just need to have been there once and you get a medal.
I don't think he played much when he was over there. I felt that as well. So it's, as I say, he has got a La Liga medal, but I think it might be a wee bit false in that term. But he's obviously another one that's went over to Saudi.
He did take a. It wasn't quite a heart attack, was he? But he did collapse. So there was issues that was
when he first went there.
Control as such.
And then obviously he's went over to Saudi probably for footballing reasons and not money reasons like a lot of boys, but who we it's like guys that have got to just get absolutely tons of coin. But Stephen, I don't know about yourself. You went for somebody different up front. I actually can't remember.
Oh, look, I'm looking at the comments fly up. You see the likes of Edward getting mentioned, Gary Hooper, Lee Griffiths.
Gary Hooper still does play, actually.
He plays for I can't remember the name of the team, but he was actually on TV the other night and I watched them. Is it Newport? There's something like that anyway. They were playing in the FA Cup and he came on like the 86th minute. But yeah, I mean Lee Griffiths, Eddie, Dembele, all these guys, and again, all fantastic strikers in their own right. And Musa seems to be the overwhelming favourite in the comments and kind of get the love in. But I've plumped with a guy that you are saying is the best striker since Larson, and that for me is Kyogo Furuhashi. He's come in to the club, and he was one of the first signings Postecoglou made. And he even said it himself when he signed him. He has to basically hit the ground running, and he did. And since then, bar the dip he's had this season, do you know what I mean? He still scored vital goals and that in the Champions League and things. He's been absolutely excellent. And I know there's calls to get the likes of a physical striker in and things like that. And look, I still think that needs to happen. And even to aid Kyogo in times in games and a different option up front to play with him, like Fennegar has, and Scott McDonald used to do, kind of big and tall, play off each other. But Kyogo, his goals in cup finals, his goals in the derbies, his goals in the Champions League. I mean, the goal the other week against Butland, world class, just world class. He gets told at Shankland by the worst pundit in football that is a better finisher than Kyogo, and Kyogo answers him, does the talking on the pitch, and shows he's the best striker without question in the SPFL. And his quality for me shines through, and I love watching him play with a smile on his face. And one thing I've noticed maybe on the Rodgers is he's getting involved in the games a bit more, and I'm liking that, linking up the play and getting involved with the wing play and kind of threading balls through. And I like players adding different dimensions because, again, you try and hoodwink the defence. And he done that to Goldson. Goldson thought he was making a run, but he backed off and received the ball kind of on the D, hit it with his left foot, and a fantastic finish goal. And for all them reasons, really, like, I think it's over 46 goals and something like 70-odd, 79, 82 appearances, something like that. It's a fantastic return, not to mention the assist as well. And he's a talisman for us. He really is. And that label of best since Larson, I think it's true. I know we've had Musa. He was fantastic while he was here. And as Anthony said, he put the Rangers to the sword on many occasions. But so is Kyogo. What is it? 7 goals in the calendar year, something like that against them. I think it's nearly a record. It's fantastic. And I don't think you can look back. I really don't. And I know people talk about his deficiencies. And I mean, you look at, because he's small and things, but he still comes up with the goods, doesn't he? He still scores the vital goals. And we look at our wingers. We look at Scott Sinclair. We look at Jad on the other side. We look at O'Reilly, Conor McGregor. That team would have a feed day. Feeding Kyogo would play to his strengths. And I think he would score a barrel load more than he does at the minute. And that, for me, is why you can't look over Kyogo Furuhashi.
I mean, you've made a great claim for him, Stephen, and I think there's plenty in the comments agree with you. Folk, I think a lot of folk agree, but unfortunately, Dembele's got 2 picks and goes in the team. But I wouldn't disagree with putting Kyogo in the team at the end of the day. But we're just going to kind of try something. We'll get the team up. I'll tell Stephen when I'm ready. We had a wee bit of technical issues, so we're kind of needing Stephen's assistance. But we've kind of sort of got the team. So I'll wait there. I need to actually share this screen. Sorry, lads. Give me 2 seconds. See, it's just a wee. Well, I'll come to his. What you going to say, Stephen?
Put Kyogo in. Don't be like that. Come on.
Too late, mate. I've already put Dembele in.
I can't believe that I've got 2 picks in McGeady and Kyogo and neither of them are in. And yet they had 2 votes each.
It's unreal, Anthony. Unreal. Ben, Stephen,
Are we making a bench then?
We can. I don't know, Stephen, if you can bring that into the studio and you'll see the team.
The team's up. The team's up.
So there we have it. There's our sort of Endless Celts what if 11 with Fraser Forster in goals, a right back Juranovic, left back Kieran Tierney, centre half partnership Van Dijk and Carter Vickers, a midfield three Wanyama, McGregor and Matt O'Reilly, out in the right Jota, left Sinclair, and up front Moussa Dembele.
What does that team scream to you? For me, that screams to me physicality. But Rodgers wants.
There's physicality, and there is. We've got it in defence where your 2 centre halves are. I mean, I know Carter Vickers isn't the biggest, but he certainly doesn't get bullied off the ball a bit. Whereas Van Dijk's obviously got what you would maybe look at as a centre half. He's tall, athletic, muscly. He's got it all. Wanyama's just that. He is your perfect sort of. He is just solid and stuff. And then obviously Dembele just so the spine of the team is physical, and your sort of trickier ball playing players are kind of everywhere else. But Stephen, I don't know if you want to take that out the studio, the stream that's the now, and then I can come back and show my emails and things like that. Then I start sharing.
Yeah.
This will go mad if I actually just start coming back across here.
There you go.
There we go. Right. Well, just before we go, who would you? What if a manager that's been there to manage? This team
God!
For you, I'll come to yourself, Stephen, first.
What's the stipulation? Did it have to be alive? Did it have to be managing? What's the crack?
I would say that you've had to see them be a manager. It's because does a manager technically ever retire at the end of the day?
Surely we need to keep it in the what's if.
I would say it has to be in the
right, isn't he? He's right.
Probably has to be still there. So I would say like it probably rules at Gordon Strachan and something like a Gordon Strachan.
My what if manager, Ange Postecoglou.
I think I would go him. Although I don't think he would take Dembele up front in all honesty, but I would pick Postecoglou simply just down to the. I mean, Martinelli's my favourite Celtic manager in my lifetime, but I mean, I could argue Tommy Burns, but I was proper young when Tommy Burns was the manager. But I just think footballing wise, Postecoglou's football. That's what I'm basing it on. What about yourself, Anthony?
I'm going to stick with Rodgers purely for what you said while the team was up there. It screams out a Rodgers team.
That's actually
Personally, looking at the team as it is, I would, if I was to make one change, it would be Wanyama out and put in potentially Hatate, just to give the midfield a bit more energy and a bit more dynamism going forward. But that screams out Rodgers, and I think Rodgers gets the best out of that 11. Ange Postecoglou is a fantastic manager that we've all witnessed in the last couple of years, and obviously down south he's doing wonders there as well. And I think he would do well with it. But you would want to invest the fullbacks, which is not a Kieran Tierney kind of thing to do. I'm not sure Sinclair and Dembele would fit in with the tempo and the way that you would want them to connect. I think that better suits what Rodgers wants to do. They kind of get out wide, cut in a bit more, have the focal point of Dembele. So we're picking a manager who I think would get the best out of that 11 is Brendan Rodgers.
Tony Mowbray, anybody?
Tony Mowbray,
wow. What did I hear about him this week? He's been on the news.
He's went to Birmingham. He's Birmingham manager. He's new Birmingham manager.
I can't believe he's still managing.
It's mad.
Shambles, man.
He's just one of the guys that will just kind of pop around their jobs and that, won't it? It's mad. It's mad.
He'll get named as a Celtic manager and he'll be in that running one day.
Nah.
Please, Anthony,
Neil
never say that
Lennon-
in your life.
Neil Lennon will always be ahead of him. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
In the
I can't
showers.
say that again.
In the
Neil
showers.
Lennon will always be ahead. What you're doing in your sort of leisure time, Stephen, just keep that to yourself on
Hey!
the podcast.
Hold on a wee second. Hold on. Where did Neil Lennon get appointed? In the
I know,
showers.
Stephen.
It was
I
just
know,
a
Stephen.
joke about the showers.
I know. But anyway, that brings us kind of at the end of that podcast. Just another one of our spin-offs because Celtic and the transfer market have given us hunters to talk about. But did you guys enjoy it? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. Great crack, mate.
Very, very good, man.
Wee bit different. As I say, I would love to claim it was my ideas, but I did see it. I stole it off Twitter and we just ran with it. And so hopefully it went well. Folk in the comments seem to enjoy it, but we'll be back Friday night. I think it's still 8 o'clock on Friday, but we'll update the socials. I think it's going to be a more sort of a normal podcast on Friday. Hopefully Celtic decide to give us something to talk about by then. We'll just need to wait and see.
Would be nice.
A wee rumour would be good because even the reported rumours are getting Kai Bosch and McKenna's.
Jordan Henderson? No from me. Why? No.
I know that was just Ross saying a wee bit of fun in the group chat at the end of the day.
No, it's all over Twitter. It's all over it.
Nah, I don't
Can't
see
be
it.
having that.
I don't see it. But
who's
no,
he going to replace?
exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, I know I said I in the group chat, but I just who does it replace at the end of the day? Who does it replace? We'll maybe do that one next, Paul. I'll know where much of my clothes back because he hates half.
Don't be
one.
one.
But no, we'll love yous and leave yous, and I'll let you, Stephen, to close out the show like you normally do.
Well, as Franny said, we'll be back Friday, probably 8 o'clock for a normal podcast to talk about what's happening within Celtic Football Club. As we said before, we're going to be doing these spin-offs throughout the winter break, so I think it's going to be every Monday. Really, we're going to do a spin-off next week, still to be confirmed what it's going to be, but that's going to be updated on the social media channels shortly. And we hope you all enjoyed this one. And in the meantime, until Friday, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.